Magic in the morning. Sorry, PTM. Portugal demand here. 8:35, and we're at 35 in Lindenville, 30 at Topberg Mountain. And we're going to be posting up an updated school closure list as some more schools have decided to close out. Mike Barrett with us, so as we promised, from Barrett Insurance Agency. Good policies, and good morning, Mike.
And good morning to you, sir.
How was your drive in? Give us a road report.
Actually, so I came in from Waterford, and not bad. Yeah, a little sloppy in places, but you take it easy. And you should not have a major problem.
That's good. Well, the road crews have been, this has been in the forecast here for, all week and end of last week, but they've been doing a great job on it. We got to tip our hats to them. Keeping folks safe is what they do best. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. So, Mike, let's talk policies. What's on your notes for this morning?
So it's pretty timely. So this morning, last week when we were talking about so many things, I kind of somewhat jokingly said we need to talk flood insurance, and I said that you would just so much enjoy it.
Yep.
I didn't realize at the time that I really wanted to talk flood insurance today until on Friday when I got a notification. So here is the deal. The government shutdown that took place. What is a government program that has to do with flood? The National Flood Insurance Program administered by FEMA.
Okay.
All right.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So that is a federally funded program, and the direction of that program, as well as the decisions upon the funding of that program, are based within Washington.
Okay, so
God help us all.
So for a couple of days, folks were
still not. So from what I'm seeing.
Now.
So let's get into the clarification part of this.
That.
So the National Flood Insurance Program has lapsed. Now, what has happened over the past number of years, many years, if you will, the National Flood Insurance Program, very much like the government, keeps getting re-upped. They keep renegotiating. They keep talking about fixes and patches. And, okay, we're going to renew it. We're going to have it go for a little while. I have not seen that the National Flood Insurance Program has been re-upped. So I don't know if that was just lost in the dialogue with all the hot topics in there. I've gone to a couple of my sources and have not seen any major announcement that it's back in. Now, what happens when the National Flood Insurance Program has a lapse? If you have flood insurance through the program, you're fine. Don't worry.
Okay.
You're fine. So claims will be paid, and anything administered will be paid as promised. Remember, insurance, regardless of who it comes from, is a contract. So if you have a flood loss and you are insured with FEMA through the National Flood Insurance Program, you will indeed be covered. Now, what is the sticking point of a lapse in the program? There's no issuance of new policies. So if you are a homeowner looking to purchase a property and being told that you must have flood insurance and you've been getting a quote through the National Flood Insurance Program, no dice. You cannot get a policy right now.
Okay, so that doesn't do the same kind of thing, and I'm not sure if it is in current policies, but I do know that in some things we're in the insurance world that there is like a 10-day grace period or anything like that, but that doesn't exist then with the...
No existence of that.
Okay.
There is a 30-day waiting period for you to obtain flood insurance on any given day through the National Flood Insurance Program if you are getting it just to get it. If you are getting flood insurance because of a closing or because of a purchase or a bank requirement, they'll waive that waiting period.
Okay,
and the reason being is that people see the forecast.
Exactly.
They hear that forecast. Yeah. You know, we've had a couple of those hurricanes come back and come up through. Was it 2000? It was the year of Irene, so 2008?
We had Irene and Sandy. They both raised heck.
Yeah, so we had many people calling us and saying we want to get flood insurance. We said, well, we can certainly sell it to you. Irene's going to be here Friday, and your flood insurance program will start 30 days from today, which is well past Friday. So, so that's one of the reasons why they have that. Now, the good news, let's continue the bad news first. The bad news is, and I'm not trying to knock the government too bad, but when the government administers certain things, they sometimes can mess it up. The National Flood Insurance Program has been subsidizing what are considered high-risk properties almost since the existence of the program. So the mapping is dated, the risk zones are dated, losses are amazingly high. So it's a non-profitable program.
Let's see if I can help out a listener out there who might be wondering. You're saying with the history and all of this stuff that they know where the floods are most likely to occur. Let's use a close example. Would the trailer park up here at the north end of town be one of those?
Oh, yeah. Including the motel over there. Those are extreme high risk. And in fact, there's actually an acronym for the high risk flood programs over there that are associated with it. So much so that they are a higher risk that when you are quoting them, you need to quote and speak with FEMA to get the quote finalized because there's structure in there that they have to do to get the appropriate rate. So you're talking an incredible amount of money because if you are heavily prone and have repeated history of loss, there can be issues there. And one day we will get into the other things with the flood program, but I want to jump quickly to private insurance with flood insurance programs. So there are private insurers who have said, look, with the Bigger Waters Act and all these enhancements and modifications that the legislature and the federal government has done over the past eons, you've screwed it up and it's too expensive. People can't afford to spend $6,000, $15,000, $20,000 a year on flood insurance. And these are people that are in a high risk area, but maybe haven't had a loss, but they're just associated with being in a high risk area. So there are private insurance companies, and we have a couple of them, that will insure you. They don't have the waiting period if there's a closing, but there is a waiting period otherwise, just like the regular program. But they have broader definitions of what a flood is, which I will get into at another date. They have better rates. I have quoted people with FEMA that might have to pay $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a year for flood insurance, and they are purchasing it for $900 through this other program, and they pay. Now, one of the issues with the private insurance program is they're a little bit smarter, and they have this flexibility. I shouldn't say smarter, but they have this ability to say, look, if you suffer a loss, we'll pay for it, but we're out of here. We're not going to cover you again.
This is it. Okay.
So that's kind of how they remain profitable. They are not continuing to stay on properties that are flooding and flooding and flooding and getting payments and payments and payments.
Okay, so when you say they get subsidies or it's subsidized, that means that, let's say Joe and Joan is going to cost them $10,000 a year. They can only afford $5,000. Does that mean that?
No, the way the way the subsidized program has historically worked is that if they were in a higher risk area, they weren't. The premium rate itself was not an appropriate representation of the risk, meaning that there are such a high probability of flood, they should have been paying more, but the rate was actually this. I can tell you an example. Before the Bigger Waters Act, which was a big reform of the flood insurance program a number of years ago, I have a specific risk in St. Johnsbury that was paying $900 and change a year, and after that act was passed and the subsidized rates went away, and they changed how this whole process works, the same property was $4,000.
Yeah, so there's a big difference. So as we always mention when we talk good policies, best thing to do is have the dialogue.
Have the dialogue, look around, always look around, talk to as many people as you can. There's a lot of folks out there that will tell you that if you are not in a FEMA town. Now, what is a FEMA town? Lyndonville, St. Johnsbury, and a couple of the others in the area, Waterford as well, I think Barnet as well. They have all adopted regulations and procedures that are approved by FEMA, so that allows them to be like what they consider a FEMA town and or participating in the program. So they all have access to flood insurance. But what if you live in Wheelock or Sheffield or other towns that do not participate? That is when you are sometimes told that you don't have any options. The private insurance companies will absolutely insure you.
Okay. And you have plenty of companies and agencies out there that you can help folks with.
Yes. And these private companies are surplus/excess companies, meaning they're like Lloyd's of London type companies. Don't let that scare you off. They pay, and they it's a contract again. So that as long as you know what you are getting, you will understand how the payment will take place. And I'll tell you, my experience has been nothing but fantastic. So.
All right. So give them the numbers to call.
748-5224. You can visit us on at our physical location, 309 Portland Street in St. Johnsbury. We're also online at thebarrettagency.com. Facebook, Google+, and YouTube is all Barrett Insurance Agency.
All right. And we, of course, record these interviews, and you put them up on the YouTube page.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good policies. Mike Barrett from Barrett Insurance Agency. You be safe when you get out in the parking lot.
Donut time.
Donut time. And it's time for more music. We've got Sam Hunt on the way of Magic this morning.